Hi, I'm Kelly Corcoran. I'm the Interim Artistic Advisor for the Lexington Philharmonic, and we are so happy that you are here and joining us for our first virtual Connect with Our Musicians. This week, I will be talking with and interviewing the members of the Lexington Philharmonic Violin section about some of their favorite moments with the orchestra, the vast repertoire, and more. So let's start by meeting everyone.
Hey, I'm Daniel Mason. I play the role of concertmaster in the orchestra, and I've been with the orchestra for quite a few decades.
Hi, I'm Julie Lastinger. I am the principal second violin. I live in Lexington. I'm a native and have been in the orchestra, believe it or not, for 43 years.
Hi, I'm Margie Karp. I am one of the assistant concertmasters, and I think I've played in the Philharmonic for about 15 years.
Hi, I'm Kristen Klein. I am a section violinist at LPO. I have been in LPO about 15 years now, and I live near San Francisco, California, but I come back and forth to Lexington a lot.
Bryce Farrar. I've been in Lexington since 1972, and I've been in the orchestra since that same year.
Hi, I'm Julie Foster. I'm a section violinist, and I played in the Philharmonic for about 15 years, and I live in Lexington.
Hi, I'm Stacey Beane Howe. I currently live in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and I actually first joined Philharmonic in college in 1984.
I'm Meg Saunders. I usually play in the first violin section of LexPhil. I live in between Lexington and Richmond, and I have been in the Philharmonic since 1999.
Hi, I'm Julie Baker. I live in Lexington, Kentucky, and I have been with the Philharmonic for about 40 years, and I am a section violin player.
My name's Ray Weaver. I've been in the orchestra since 1981, and I'm assistant principal second violin, and I pretty much sat with Julie that entire time. And
so it's great to be here with all of you, and there's such a rich depth of experience with this orchestra. You all have spent a lot of time making music and having artistic experiences with the orchestra. So Daniel, let's start with you as concertmaster, and maybe you could tell us how you see the role of the concertmaster in the orchestra.
There are a lot of specific responsibilities. For example, an audience may not realize what goes into making a string section look coordinated and therefore sound coordinated. But if there were no control over which direction bows are going, the audience would very quickly realize that things were awry. So one of the chief roles of a concertmaster is to kind of settle all the issues about which direction the bow should go at which time. Of course, the concertmaster is responsible for playing solo passages, and usually concertmasters also have the role of stepping up into the solo position, which I've been lucky enough to do a dozen times or so with Philharmonic. And beyond that, I think concertmasters act as liaison with the conductor. They can help the conductor communicate with the orchestra.
Thank you for sharing all that. Julie Lastinger, let's go to you. So, because you also have a principal role in the orchestra, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the second violins and what is so unique and amazing and wonderful about the second violin section in the orchestra.
Depending on the type of music you're playing or the size of the orchestra, sometimes it can be very similar to the first. Sometimes it can be completely different animal altogether. Seconds usually play in maybe sometimes a lower register than the firsts do. Sometimes it's just a different sound altogether. It's hard really to explain unless you're talking about a specific piece or not, but I like the variety of, I've played both first and second in various orchestras. So it's kind of nice to be able to, take that different perspective in each group and each section and do different things. So it's a whole different experience on any given day between the sections.
I think it's so much fun. I mean, I'm a singer. I have a vocal background, and I used to love singing alto and singing the inner parts and just,
Yes.
jumping around and being a part of the texture in different ways.
Same here.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Julie, you're a Lexington native, so let's move to another Lexington native, Kristen, who is also a native of Lexington. And Kristen, I'd love to hear from you, what you love about playing the violin, and then, just also what you love about Lexington.
Yeah, one of the things I love about violin is how versatile it is, how you can go from playing pop music to classical music and then maybe fiddle also, all within the same week. Sometimes I have gigs that involve all of those different genres of music. And then since I've been living in the Bay Area in California for about 8 years now, I have really grown to appreciate the music community in Lexington, and how supportive and welcoming it is. And then there's also such an emphasis on music education in Lexington, which is really great. I actually started violin with Bryce Farrar, and then I studied in college with Daniel Mason and a little bit with Margie Karp also. So it's just such a great and nurturing community. And every time I come back, I feel very fortunate.
That's great. Okay, well then let's turn to one of your former teachers, Bryce, and tell us about some of your hobbies and interests outside of music, so we get to see another side of you.
Well, a lot of things are in limbo this year because of music, but I still play about once a week at a retirement home. Other than that, I like to stay healthy. I walk every day, I swim, and getting up in years, but I'm still glad that I've still got vibrato and I can still enjoy myself playing the violin.
That's great. You touched upon health, and so that is going to lead me to Julie Foster, and I'd love to hear from you about, why is music important to our health?
Well, that's an excellent question in the middle of the pandemic, of course. I guess you could think about it with, your body versus your mind. Considering the body, I suppose, at a sort of basic instinctive level, music really drives you towards movement, which could be dancing. I love to watch dance. I love to watch dancers and the way that their bodies reflect the music, like the movements that they choose and how they incorporate that into their choreography. I find it very fascinating. But as far as sort of the crossover between the benefits for your circulatory and your heart and your muscles and all that, if you think about the brain, just listening to music changes the brain. And we know research shows that you release really important neurotransmitters like dopamine and oxytocin, serotonin, and that changes the brain chemistry. So that creates a more positive outlook. It makes us less anxious. So I think it's healthy for the brain as well, and your mind, your mental outlook. So that's become more important during the pandemic, I think, is the mind element even more so.
Stacey, let's turn to you. And, during the pandemic, we have been making lots of chamber music and small ensemble things, and it's been difficult to gather and play large orchestral repertoire. How is orchestral playing different from playing smaller chamber music?
Well, as Julie just touched on, since the pandemic, since we haven't been able to play as a group mentally, as my mental health, now I'm realizing how important being part of a big group, putting out a big work is so important to me. I didn't realize how a part of me that was, and I miss it terribly. As far as how we approach it, when I thought about how we approach it, we approached orchestra music the same as chamber music. I mean, we're wanting to sound as one, as Julie touched on earlier. If I'm preparing for orchestra music as opposed to chamber music, I need to make sure when we come to rehearsal that we're sounding as one. So it's actually just as much harder as playing in a chamber style, but it's mainly the camaraderie, I think, of all that. I just miss having that collective whole of everyone together and coming together and making beautiful music together. It's really the community effort. I just miss that so much. So
It's really, you're right. I mean, orchestral repertoire is so powerful, and nothing really truly replicates that experience. So thank you for sharing that. Meg, let's go to you and let's hear a favorite LexPhil memory from you.
It's really hard to pick one, but I decided to pick our last concert in May of 2019 when we played the Star Wars movie as an orchestra. It was very challenging. We didn't have a click track. It was just all like, going by the movie. But one of the things I really loved about it was that it brought a different audience into the concert hall. And there were people there that I knew that had never come to a LexPhil concert before. There were kids, there were, people my age who grew up in the 80s who, were total diehard fans, or people in costume. It was just such a unique concert. And so that was just really, really fun to get to do something of that caliber with LexPhil and just see how it impacted the community.
So thank you for sharing that. Let's go to Julie Baker. And what is your favorite piece of orchestral repertoire?
That's a tough one, but I'm kind of like, I like, what is it, Beethoven's Third Symphony? I just love the classics. I really do, because it's just always, it's so moving, and I don't know, just the traditional classics.
So Ray, let's go to you and let's chat a little bit about what are some of your hobbies outside of music.
Well, I enjoy, nowadays particularly, I enjoy tennis a great deal. I play a lot of tennis. I play probably 4 or 5 days a week, very competitively with people from all age groups. I enjoy gardening, although not this season, although in another day or two, I expect to get out there and start preparing a vegetable garden. I tend to grow enormous vegetable gardens, and that's been very useful during last summer in the pandemic. I actually play a lot of online chess too. I used to play a lot of competitive chess and gave it up for a good 15, 20 years, but now there's a lot more time to fill, and there's a computer, and it's great. You can play at any time of the day, at any moment, with people all across the world, which is fascinating. I would like to say I do think that when we get back on the stage, it's going to be overwhelmingly emotional.
So Margie, let's go to you, because we're in a virtual room of violinists. What is it that you love about this instrument, about the violin, that all of your colleagues here share, this beautiful instrument?
I've loved the violin since I first started when I was 4. And I don't know what drew me to it so much as a child, but I think I love the variety of repertoire we get to play. Kristen mentioned that a bit, all the different genres. For me, I love playing solo Bach, but I also really love sitting in the middle of an orchestra and being a small part of this enormous orchestra, playing maybe a Mahler symphony, which would be one of my favorites, or something that we've never heard before that we're learning for the first time together.
Yeah. This has been so much fun to chat with all of you. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts and perspectives and favorite memories. And I do want to also thank the Lexington community and anybody else that is watching this video. I hope you enjoyed getting to know our musicians, and we look forward to sharing some more virtual content with you in the coming weeks. So bye, everybody. Thanks so much.